لسوف أعود يا أمي أقبل رأسك الزاكي.
Of the Muslim women, when it comes to the ummah, someone described it or gave it a very beautiful comparison. It's like the role of the archers in the battle of Uhud. They were not in the forefront, they were not in the thick of the action, but they had the most important position. They guarded the army, and if they moved, the whole army would be uncovered and the whole army would be defeated. So you're the silent heroes. You're the ones doing all the great work. You're the backbone and the structure. You're the ones who teach the children and teach the Muslim men courage and honesty and truthfulness and patience and perseverance and kindness and confidence in themselves. You're the one who will do that, not your babysitter. And not the nursery school who will only teach them to sing nursery rhymes. You're the one who will teach them that. And we're not saying, again, we're not saying don't work. We're saying you are like the archers. The archers, when they left out trying to get the spoils, the army was uncovered and it was defeated. But same thing, when you leave this most important position to go out for the spoils, to go out for the extra paycheck or something like that, you leave the army, you leave the ummah uncovered. Prophet ﷺ said to the Muslim woman, take care of your home, for that is your jihad. That means it's a very important position, and it's more important than the extra paycheck and more important than so many other things. The extra paycheck and the wealth you get from that can't compare the reward you'll get if your son becomes a great scholar of Islam, or if your daughter learns her religion and teaches it to other women. And you know the story of Imam Malik rahimahullah. When he was a young boy, you know what he wanted to be when he grew up. Yes? He wanted to become a singer. And who is the one who changed his mind about that? It was his mother. She changed his mind. And she was the one who encouraged him to not become a singer. And she started to encourage him to want to study the religion. And the things that she would do, he was a young boy, she would dress him up like a young scholar. And she would put a turban on him and dress him up like a young scholar, this young boy. And sometimes she would walk with him to the masjid because he was too young to go to Fajr by himself in the dark. And she would tell him, go to Rabi'at al-Ra'i, this great scholar of Medina, and learn from his manners and learn from his knowledge. And she encouraged him to do that. The way she dressed him up as a small scholar or an imam. Just the same way now we dress up our children as policemen and as firefighters, and we make them love these occupations. How many people, and I just still would love to see the day when, after the Jum'ah khutbah, some father will bring his child and put him up on the minbar and say, you see? Yalla, you're the imam, yalla, speak to the people. No, but we buy them these plastic badges and fake guns. Yalla, you're a police officer, you're a firefighter. So sisters, next Friday or any Friday when school is out, make sure your husband, he puts your son up on the minbar and tells him, you're the imam of the ummah. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, his father had passed away, and so his mother raised him. One man used to say about Imam Ahmad, he says, كنت أرى أحمد بن حنبل يحيي الليل وهو غلام. I used to see Ahmad ibn Hanbal pray the night, stand the night in prayer while he was a young boy. Where do you think he learned that from? It was from his mother. And the excellent relationship is very famous, the excellent relationship he had with his mother and how obedient he was to his mother. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, his mother didn't encourage him to knowledge. It was said that his older sister was well versed in language and poetry. She was the one who got him interested in knowledge. Ibn al-Jawzi, another great scholar of Islam, rahimahullah, his aunt was the one who got him interested and the one who took him to learn from the muhaddithin. Rabi'at al-Ra'i, this teacher of Imam Malik that we mentioned earlier, his mother spent thousands of dinars that her husband left her. She spent it on educating her son, who became a great scholar in the Masjid al-Nabawi in Medina. And Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, is mentioned that he had over 400 teachers. He studied with over 400 scholars during his travels. But amongst them were women scholars. Imam Malik had his daughter Layla, who used to memorize the book al-Muwatta, and she memorized it so well that if one of the students made a mistake and the Imam didn't catch the mistake, she would knock on the door, because she would be listening. Then the Imam would ask him to repeat himself. He would pay attention that someone made a mistake. The daughter of the great scholar Sa'id ibn Musayyib, when she got married, her husband got dressed to go to the halaqah. She said, "Where are you going?" He said, "To the halaqah of Sa'id." She said, "Sit down, I'll tell you what Sa'id says." That's the amount of knowledge that she had. But we don't even need to go that far. What if we start right at the beginning with Khadija radiallahu anha? I mean, if anyone wants to underestimate the role of women in building this ummah and in creating scholars and in creating warriors, just look at the role of Khadija radiallahu anha. And where would Islam be and where would the Meccan da'wah be without Khadija radiallahu anha? Even when the Prophet ﷺ, before he became a prophet, when he loved to go and meditate and do the tahannuth, sit in the cave for a long time, sometimes he would stay for a month, she would send the servants there to give him food. So he wouldn't have to interrupt himself and come back all the way to the city to get some food. She would send servants to him to give him food. But look at the instructions she would give him. Because she knows her husband ﷺ is dedicated to something and wants to do something. She would tell them, just put the food at the mouth of the cave and leave. Don't walk in and distract and talk about the news and what's happening in the village. She would tell them that. Look at the attention to detail. Look at how when the Prophet ﷺ came back and he was afraid and he said, "Zammiluni, zammiluni, cover me." She covered the Prophet ﷺ. And she waited until he calmed down, then she asked him what happened. And if this were to happen, and the woman is not wise, you come in, there's a calamity, you say, "Cover me." She said, "What for? What happened? Cover me, what happened?" "No, you won't cover you until you tell me what's going on." Now you have two calamities instead of one. Look at her analysis when the Prophet ﷺ explained to her what happened. She immediately saw this can't be from the shaitan, it can't be from the jinn. She analyzed it quickly, that you are the Prophet of Allah. Why? Because of the goodness of the Prophet ﷺ. And then she takes him to Waraq ibn Nawfal, who confirms what she is saying. Look at how she supported the Prophet ﷺ financially, how she suffered alongside the Prophet ﷺ. Where would the early da'wah be if the Prophet ﷺ had a wife that nagged him? Where would it be? Where would the da'wah be if she would tell him, "You don't spend time with me, stay home with us, let's talk, let's have a candlelight dinner tonight," or something like that.
فليقولوا عن حجابك لا وربي لن أبالي فليقولوا عن حجابك أنه يفني شبابك وليغالوا في عتابك إن للدين انتسابك لا وربي لن أبالي همتي مثل الجبال أي معنى للجمال إن غدا سهل المنام فليقولوا عن حجابك أنه يفني شبابك واليغالوا في عتابك إن للدين انتسابك لا وربي لن أبالي همتي مثل الجبال أي معنى للجمال إن غدا سهل المنام حاولوا أن يخدعوني صحت فيهم أن دعوني سوف أبقى في حصوني لست